Architecture and Design in Germany. Here are our guests, 2 master's programs, as already mentioned. And the organizer of session is 𝘱𝘢𝘕𝘓𝑚𝑎𝑛 University, a database that is covering all the study programs offered by German universities. And actually, there are more than 24,000. And you can find the suitable program with the help of different filters that can be adjusted and narrow down the search and so on and so forth. If you want to know more about the universities, you could also check out the University Finder, which also is quite informative and seems to be quite interesting for our users, because lots of them also check out information about the university itself in addition to the study program. For international applicants, I assume many of you, including myself today, are joining as internationals, and maybe you have questions about scholarship, visa, living, studying in Germany. You can also check out our articles, which are quite informative, also in different languages, even though probably you can also ask all your questions to ChatGPT. I think it's nice to have a perspective of internationals who wrote those articles, as they lived through the process and share the process here. And then the webinars, where we connect you with your future study program. Hopefully today, after the session, you're applying to one of those presented programs. And from today, you can already have contact with them, which is really nice. But you also have general webinars such as scholarships, UniAssist, visa. Tomorrow we will even have a German webinar, so it's growing, and it's all the different things that we try to cover and make your dream of studying in Germany a bit closer with information that is trustable and suitable. This is our team. We are based in Hamburg, Germany, and we are counseling in different languages. Now, I already mentioned about our study finder. Just want to mention that in case you select, for example, subjects as architecture and design here, you can filter for different languages, of course. And then I selected, for example, now English with German clause, and English and partially German. And you have 27-degree programs. As a master and bachelor breakdown is visible. I know that 21 programs for masters is not 24,000, but still maybe you don't have time to go and check one by one. Therefore, you can still narrow down the search with different filters that can be shown here. Or after today's webinar, you know that you are applying to one of those programs. Then if you want to know more about this subject of architecture, let's say, you can check our subject pages, which are also quite interesting. And yeah, have an overview there as well. About the universities, in Germany, there are types of universities and universities of applied sciences. There were some historic changes and differences in them, and we have article about it as well. What I want to mention is that some universities of applied sciences also have a right to grant PhD degrees, and they also have it. Just what I want to say is that usually programs offered by universities are more research and theory oriented. Universities of applied sciences usually have application and practice oriented programs, but there are always exceptions on both sides. Please therefore check the programs carefully or attend the webinars to hear the content about the program from speakers themselves. And very important is that when you check and decide the program, because we get lots of questions, can I apply with this and that degree, which is absolutely normal to ask, and you are welcome to ask this today as well. But in case you have a question and there is no webinar in that second, you could always check qualification requirements, which are quite usually strict. And it's also mentioned what kind of previous degrees are accepted about ECTS and additional things, for example, language requirements, so on, is always mentioned there. But today you will hear more in detail all about that. Okay, let's start with Bauhaus-Universität Weimar.
Very much, Nino. I'm pleased to be here. And so before I start now, I see you still as a full screen. I don't know if you see my presentation shared. Yes, Okay, good. So I will start with the Bauhaus in Weimar, and we have Maurizio, who will later then go to Dessau. So two different places, but all have this very prominent name Bauhaus inside. And the earlier Bauhaus is in Weimar, and the very modern one is in Dessau. So we start with the earlier place, and I think most of you have heard about if you are from the field. Anyway, so I will present two programs today. The one is Digital Technologies in Architecture and Design, and the second one is IODD, myself, Philipp Schmidt. So I've been coordinating the program IODD since very long, and recently we had also in our institute this program Digital Technologies in Architecture and Design, which is a little bit more fancy and more free, and the IODD is more structured as a program. That's what you will see today. And my role is I'm the coordinator of the program, also academic advisor and managing head of the institute. I know maybe most of you have seen this image about the Bauhaus that has been built 1906 from 𝘱𝘢𝘺𝘥𝘪𝘀 van der Velde. Wonderful, really spacious rooms. Historic is very important. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and also Dessau is World Heritage UNESCO. And indeed, it's not a museum. People are working inside. We have a lot of studios here. This is the main building of the university. There are many others also. It looks like that inside in the studios, and our program is in this gray box, so it's a little bit different. It's more fresh inside, I would say, very new, and it's a passive house, so energetic. It's much more wise than the other one, but it's more simple, but we love it as well. Okay, so that's where we are located with our institute, Bauhaus Institute for Experimental Architecture. It's a small unit within the Faculty of Architecture and Urbanism. You see there are three other ones, and three other faculties and two other institutes at our faculty. So in total, we have around 4,000 students, you can say, at these four faculties, and 30% of international students, which is quite high, I think, but it's exactly the audience we're talking to today. So what is digital technologies in architecture and design? It already has this name architecture, but it also has digital technologies and design. It's a quite open program. The predecessor was called media architecture. You can also see it on our web pages. And there it's quite open in terms of the program, what your background is, but you should be intrigued in combining these fields. So you're not an architect to say, I've done a lot of buildings, now I want to study this. There should be also already an interrelation of your interest that goes, for example, to digitalization, but also maybe art, media, in general. I will show you a few examples. Yeah. So what the program aims is to understand, but also to use digital technologies on a design practice. The term design practice is really broad. At the end, we have a lot of objects that are used also in space, for example, for curatorial purposes, or for media facades, for theater, for exhibitions, museums. So it's quite wide, and it can be also quite only digital. And if you study this program, all kind of workshops are open, not only from the Faculty of Architecture and Urbanism, but also from the Arts and Design. There's a robot lab as well, so you can do digital things with a robot, but also think about the human being. So it's a program that looks very much in this context of Weimar that has been always interdisciplinary to connect different disciplines. Yeah, it shouldn't be technology for itself. So it's really user-centered as well and really reflected. So it focuses on a deeper understanding of innovative digital technologies. This is the one thing, but on the other side, you have also the social interaction with the people confronted with these spatial interventions, for example, but also discourses. So it can be very much theoretical also. So you are exposed to all kind of approaches, and this is what can come out. For example, these were students who won kind of submission to be presented on the Ars Electronica, very famous fair in Linz. They spent some days and they were given award, for example, for this media facade, which has been done in Asian context. No? So this is one example, for example, the people are programming it, but they are also thinking about the narrative, the idea behind. Here it was like about this storytelling to raise awareness of environmental issues among the general public. I think this is an underpass in Singapore. Yeah, so students won this award. Another award they got, or it was like a participation, the City Digital Skin Art Festival. So if you have been in Hamburg visiting the 𝘱𝘯𝘪𝘥𝘯𝘪𝘯, so it was on the front of the building. They were doing this facade animations, and they all had specific ideas also with the environmental context. No? So these are examples that can come out. Digital, it has to do with spaces, like with real spaces or urban spaces, but also has to do with quite art-related concepts and ideas. And if you are a person who would like to explore that, it's not a profession. No? So people are ending at all kind of different jobs at the end after studying that. So it's quite open. And yeah, you can be also very technical at the end about what you are doing. At the moment, we have a student who's doing something with dance performance, or with robotic installations. So they're all kind of possibilities. It's a 4-semester program with 120 credit points. It's taught in English. If you are able to use German, you can also visit German courses. It has a very international focus. So we don't know. It's not like in Germany we do this or that. No, it's really open, and it's the same as a crowd of students also is here in the program. So you see, it's a quite rough structure, I would say. You have project module 1, project module 2, project module 3, and even the master module could be a master project, no? At the end. So it's a project-related program. There's design theory accompanying then these project modules. You can do it at the Faculty of Architecture, but also at the Faculty of Arts and Design, or even there are selected courses from the media faculty, also very computational, sometimes really high informatics. So you can combine it. So you should not be shy to use computers and digital tools anyway. That's important to know. And then you have a lot of compulsory electives. This is how it looks like. These were the courses in the last semester. You see the topics: ML-based generative and volumetric imaging, robotic tectonics, robot-based teaching and learning environments for automated building process, thinking future, which was a very theoretic course. So they're all kind of impulses, I would say, that you can then use for yourself, depending from your own, let's say, direction you want to take. Or in sociology, you can also do courses in the urban class and urban master, which I'm showing you after this program. The third project module can be substituted also to a semester abroad through a university exchange or an internship. That's also possible. And here you see all this the program, all these different fields listed. You can find this in the internet as well. These are the schools where this program has an exchange with. So they have quite interesting labs that are fitting very well also to that program. What do you need to apply here is, I think, letter of motivation. That's clear. There's an application form. You register through UniAssist if you're not a citizen from Europe, and have your first degree and don't have your first degree from a European country. A CV, that's clear. Most important is a portfolio as one document, and it's not limited, so you can take 5, 6, 7, but don't put your scrappy examples. Maybe that's important. And also it should be own works. Now, if you have worked maybe 2 years somewhere or 3 years, don't just take the portfolio of the office. I mean, we want to know what you are doing, what you have done also in your studies. That's more important. You can add also work from internships and also mention where you have done this. And it should be important not just to have an overload of visuals for us, that you explain in short and precise also what these projects were you have worked on. Okay, so English proficiency, I mean, all the details are on our website. You see it's a minimum B2 we want, and usually there are tests. I think Duolingo, it's not accepted here as a, I think it goes only to, is a BE1 in the equivalent. So this is important also to have to apply for this and also the next program. Okay, deadlines of applications. The platforms are opened already for the non-European, like using the Uni Assist platform. So May 15 is a deadline where you need to submit all your application material. So we had around 120 student applications last year. So if you're interested in that program, do it soon to apply. Okay. So I think we will have questions afterwards. Is it right? Or how does it work? Okay, good. So I would then go to the next presentation, IUDD, Master's Integrated Urban Development and Design. So as said early on, this is much more structured, not so open like TDAD. This is a program that goes back to 1999 already, especially including this so-called model project module, which is like an internship in the third semester. So what we are looking at, as the name says, integrated urban development, we are having and also teaching and wanting people who have an integrated perspective on urban development. What is that? I mean, you can integrate a lot of things. So for example, its physical dimensions, building knowledge, its social conditions, and economical dimensions, but also environmental dimensions. So we are trying to integrate this under this term of integrated urban development. Maybe you know that in 2007, the Leipzig Charter was started here in Germany, and they said, okay, planning should be not one-dimensional, it's a multidisciplinary thing. And you need to have knowledge, at least from knowing whom you are asking in the real practice. That's important to bring in progressive ideas into planning, but also should include all kind of disciplines, not only experts, but also in participation with citizens. So what you need for that is also NY to do interdisciplinary and praxis-related work. That's what we want people to get out. So it's what you learn and what you apply here should be used outside in the practice, but also is kind of should be state of the art somehow in the technologies we're using. So this program is sometimes working in northern, southern hemisphere. There's no limit in terms of the tools also we're using. It's important that you have an idea about what urban design quality is. It means with public spaces, well-designed spaces, also not wasting money for non-functional, but also not comfortable design. And that's especially important because we work a lot with AI-supported planning tools, where students are creating scenarios in response to different challenges. For example, environmental challenges. So we're working a lot with data. So it's a little bit like in TDAD, you shouldn't fear to use a computer and new software. So I will show you examples about how we are doing this. Okay, so at the end, educational aims, I think what is very important is training in analytical competences. So you're not here just to make drawings at the end, which are nice. You should question drawings or physical plans at the end. And we are teaching you the tools. For example, you are using Space Syntax from London as an analytical tool for how streets are connected, how frequented they are, and what it means in terms of their geometry within the urban footprint. What is also important to know is that we are practice related, but also research oriented. It's science. We are including science really in the courses, and these urban design skills you are getting here is a lot. It's quite innovative in terms of these computational tools. Okay, so that's what you have already seen. This is how the plan looks like in these 4 semesters. So you have, again, a project in the first semester, hands-on project, more or less, where you may use some digital design tools which you already learn here from the first semester in parallel. So for example, topographic analysis or street network analysis. And so these digital design methods already take 6 credit points here in the first semester. And then we have another studio in the second semester, which is much more focused on implementing these digital urban design tools. Again, in parallel, you have also digital design methods advanced, which are integrated in the studio. And then you have lectures, urban sociology, and few electives. So you see it's quite more structured than the other program. And what is colored in orange here is a model project. That's an internship semester, which you do at different offices. There are some you can choose by yourself, apply somewhere, but also you can apply as part of partners we are having to do these internships. At the end, you're doing a master's thesis, which is a scientific work, but this is, for example, to use these digital tools to understand the urban problem, for example. That's one possibility. So it's a Master of Science, and you have 4 months to do this master thesis at the end in the 4th semester. So this is how the courses look like. I just give you some examples about subjects we are looking at. I mean, traffic planning, that's one thing. Green scenario, for example, the larger offices are also presenting how these digital tools can be used in practice. Some of the partners we have are already using a lot of these tools. This is just what we are doing then after students have been in the internship. You are presenting your half-year experience or 3 to 6 months experience within a 12-minute slot or 15 minutes. And then partners are also invited giving feedback and giving themselves presentations from the practice. Okay, so this is, then we do it's like a conference, what we do here. So you see all the students here have presented their subject with an appropriate title, an abstract for this conference. So this is a study project. So one is done, for example, from landscape architecture planning chair here, or from the chair of urban and regional planning. So you see the scale is quite large we're working in. And this is an example about the computational tools, for example. Okay, so I would like to show a video. So we worked a lot on the Ethiopian context, for example, with these digital tools. You see here on the right side, Sunday morning about local community or the heads of these different community organizations. And we are looking to this village and discussing about questions, how they imagine the city, which was growing already, should develop. And what you can do with these tools is then quite in real time talk about this town, how much habitants will be there, where want the community to extend the city, where would streets be, what would it mean in terms of flooding, for example, with rainfall and topography, and all these data are available. So it's just a question, how could a planner directly use them? And you see here what we are reaching with this technology. This was a project done with water engineers together, is to integrate their knowledge also, especially water questions, yeah, in the simulation tools based on data like topography, for example. And then what I showed you before is that this tools are used in real time to discuss with local community and decision makers. So this is quite fancy, I must say. And then students are trying out different scenarios, for example, depending from where a city would densify or which options or where it shouldn't, maybe. So it's also about critically looking at your own maps. So we're asking students not to have one design at the end, a wonderful, beautiful design. We're using them to look what factors could be relevant, and then how much should they contribute to a more sustainable plan, for example, also in the cultural context by knowing how a city evolved already. So you can use a lot of factors to do all that. Yeah, this is one example. I don't know if you can see it, that it changes. This was a project recently finished, where also students suggested, it was about growth scenario of a town with 100,000 inhabitants, southeast of Addis Ababa, and looking to these different, let's say, catchment areas and uses, and where this city should get priorities in terms of road construction, but also extending neighborhoods. So I think this is one example. We also do excursions and also have fun sometimes, like this soccer playing then in a volcano crater, which was quite fun. So we are working hard, but we are also having a lovely time. Now, I don't know if I can just share this one video, or maybe I just let me see what you see. So I think you can see the video
I still see
moving.
the slide.
You
No,
still
we
see
still
this?
see the slide.
Oh, this is a pity. So what I would do then, can you okay, so this just scrolls through. So you see here an example how the students were analyzing an area, a very mountainous area, with this question: how would a little hamlet grow? So how should planning be there? And it's a very difficult task to plan in the void. And so they did this master plan by having these different variables. You have a topographic plan. Yeah, you have, let's say, areas which be more vulnerable to floods, for example. Then it's a question about defining a size. Where would the road be? And at the end, it's a lot of, let's say, lines you see here, but it's a modeling also of a city. It's a lot of data behind, and students could playfully also understand which effect it has if I take out one road or have a smaller road or a larger block. So this all can be tried out with these tools you are learning here. And then it's about land use, for example, here. Then it's about buildings. So they tried out the different churches, for example, here. And then it's not the planner deciding now, it would be also to discuss this with the community and to weight and balance also different priorities in the planning. And then you see it becomes always more and more detailed. And at the end, you come out with a lot of parameters, which could be decisive for your plan. And at the end, let me see, I was too fast now. Yeah, then you have the buildings. So it was public buildings, and at the end, something like that comes out. Maybe because the time is running, I think. Do I still have 2 minutes or 3? Okay, so then I would say, okay, master thesis examples. We don't need to go in detail, but you see the subjects also, what people were working on using these tools also of parametric analysis on the urban scale. Many projects you can find on the pages here. Sometimes we have special guests, like here we had from New York project for public spaces, a guest professor doing a small project with her. Also Francis Quéré, where we worked on the African context, not in Ethiopia like usual, but on Burkina Faso. Yeah, what we're also doing now, for example, is urban heat Action Summer School, if you're interested, from the 15th to the 29th. You can find it on the webpage of our university. Yeah, and I would end with that slide, which I showed also before for the other program, application deadlines. So applicants from the EU, June 25, and from all other countries, May 15 on UniAssist. Yeah, and here on the top, you see our webpage of the program, 𝘈𝘥𝘷𝘦𝘳𝘴𝘪𝘆, and then /IUDD. And for the other program, it's DTAD. Okay, thank you very much.
So now let's talk about Master of Art Architecture program.
There you go. So our program is called DIA. It stands for Dessau International Architecture Graduate School. And it's an international Masters of Arts. It's a Master in Architecture offered by the University of Applied Sciences of Anhalt. We're located in the state of Saxony-Anhalt. And we've had these masters over 25 years old. We've had more than 1,500 graduates already, and yeah, and we continue to receive people from all over the world in our masters. So we are here, right, as you can see in the map to the left. We're in a very central place in Germany. Which means that we're very easily connected to big cities and vibrant developing cities like Berlin, Leipzig, and also Halle. And as you can see, the campus map that you see on the right, our Faculty of Architecture is right next to the Gropius building of the Bauhaus. We are an internationally accredited Master of Arts in Architecture. It's very important to notice that because you might have some Masters of Sciences and Master of Arts. So this is a Masters of Arts. It's an international program, and we have students and teachers coming from very diverse countries and regions. It's a full-time program, which is very important also to take into account. And it's fully taught in English. The duration of the masters is 2 years, so we have 4 semesters, and we also have 120 credits in total. So each semester has 30 credits. So what is our master? What is our focus? So for us, we want to offer a very strong academic education with, of course, this focus in architecture and urban design, but not just in the design, but also in the way that architecture and urban design is addressing technical, economic, ecological, cultural, and theoretical aspects and challenges that are faced by architecture nowadays. So what we also do is that we want to encourage our students to develop these sustainable projects, but not only addressing the problems related to climate change or limited resources or decreasing biodiversities, but also by understanding how societies are changing, to understand how the cities are developing and how cultures interact with each other. So this is a way in which it's also addressing the challenges that the world is having at the time. So we basically focus on these 4 pillars, we could say. First of all, developing sustainable approaches to the urban and architectural environment, using tools of new media and technologies in architecture and urban design so that we can represent better concepts and ideas. Also supporting an interdisciplinary approach to design, because we will see later in the electives that we like to have different approaches, not just design and building, but also cultural aspects, anthropological aspects, art aspects of that are connected or that could be connected to your architectural practice. And we also have, because we're a University of Applied Sciences, it's not just about the theoretical aspects, but also to have the practice, to put everything that you're learning into, like work with it and make projects that are very practical. So this is how our master's is divided. It's divided in 2 years. It's also very important. I will address this a bit later, but it's very important to know that we only receive new students once per year. So if you desire to apply to our masters, you would be beginning in October, so winter semester. That's when we begin. So the first year and the second year is, as you can see, for the first 3 semesters, you would have a studio. This is like your main workshop. Let's call it like this. It's a studio where you develop a big project. There we have professors that are not just from our university, but we also have external teachers that are very well known in the media of architecture. So people coming from the field, even from other countries. Then you have some of the subjects that are compulsory, like urbanism, research methods, European culture, architectural history, and theory. And then you have other subjects that you must take, but you're more free in which ones you would take. These are the CAD logic classes. It's basically classes where you will learn some software, or you will apply software to some special projects that you develop. When I say software, I'm talking about Rhino, Grasshopper, and other of these softwares. But not just that, also we have some BIM classes. So you can make your own profile by choosing which of these classes you would prefer. And then you have each semester, you must also take 2 electives. And these electives are divided into categories. I'm going to explain that a little bit later. And then on the 4th semester, you have your master's thesis. And then you have your colloquium, you have your thesis presentation. So about the electives and about these categories that I mentioned before, what we want to offer you is a diverse option so that you can make a very diverse profile in the end. Yeah, so that's why we offer these different elective modules. We don't offer all of them every semester, but we try to have a very big mix of them so that you can always be changing. So we have modules such as cultural theory and practice, advanced modeling and computational design, architecture and urban analysis, sustainable design methods, design and society, materials and building techniques, art techniques, and we also offer some electives for the German language, because we know that some of you um, would like to improve your knowledge of German, or some of you might even come without any knowledge of the language. So we offer classes from the very basics so that you can integrate easily. About this diversity, as you can see, the photo on the right, this is from one module that belongs to this category of art techniques. And we do it together with some external teachers. And what our students do in the end is a performance that takes place at the Bauhaus stage in Dessau, the historical Bauhaus stage. And it's inspired by some experiments from some of the people from the Bauhaus, from the 𝘱𝘢𝘪𝘵 ballet and other known theorists from the Bauhaus. So who is this master's addressed to? It's aimed at architects. It's very important to underline that this is only for architects. You must have a title in architecture to be able to apply to our masters. So we want people who have a curious mind, who are interested in deepening their knowledge, that want to develop new projects and that want to do more research on some topics related to how architecture is developing, how sustainability is important for architecture projects, urban planning, and people who want to further develop their design skills. About the requirements for the application, as I mentioned before, you must have a degree in architecture. It must be minimum 3 years, so the equivalence would be 180 credits. I don't know if Nino, you're going to share the calculation, right? So Nino will address that later. So you must have this degree in architecture after your graduation, and this is because we are a postgraduate program. Then we require you to have at least 1 year, 12 months of qualified professional work experience after that first degree that you get, and it must be in architecture. Yeah, it's also very important that you take that into account. You have a CV where you will explain all this work experience that you have, and a motivation letter, and also a portfolio. So this is also for the language requirements. I'm going to elaborate a bit more on the portfolio and the motivation letter in a bit. So language requirements, you must have English proficiency. We accept TOEFL. There are the points that you might need from the paper-based or the internet-based test. IELTS, also we receive it. We don't receive, as Philip mentioned before, we also don't accept Duolingo as part of the qualification. But we know that some of you might come from universities where your bachelor's was taught in English. So we would just require you to have evidence of this. If you have proof of this, then you don't need to present an English test. That would suffice. So about the aptitude test procedure, we don't make an exam or evaluation. What we do is that we ask you to send us a portfolio. This portfolio should include the work and the intention of you as an applicant, and it's going to be evaluated by a commission, which is made by some of the teachers from the program. We would suggest that you include at least 3 recent projects. We don't mind it if it's a mix of, so it doesn't have to be all academic. We hope that it's not all academic. It doesn't have to be all professional. We like to see a mix, because what we want to see is what skills you're going to bring. What we want to see is who you are, what your interests are. So it's a way to get to know you better and to see who is coming to DIA. Another thing that is important is that you have to understand that what we want to see is if you're also a match, and if we are a match for you as well. Yeah, so that really you're coming to DIA because you want to be at DIA. And a question that I get very often is how many pages, and if there's a layout that we provide. So the layout is completely free. It's up to you. We don't have a number of pages. We also like to see just like not just images or a lot of text. We want to see like a balance. We want to know and understand what the projects are. I mean, make it reasonable. Don't go overboard, like with a lot of projects there. And take into account that you have to upload this portfolio to a digital platform, and the maximum size of the file is 10 megabytes. So this means that you will also have to compress it a bit. So just take that into account when preparing your portfolio. About the application procedure, It's done through UniAssist, so you don't apply directly through our website. I mean, this is applying for students who did their bachelor's in another country outside of the EU. Um, we're open since December 15th, and the application deadline is May 31st. If you're an applicant from China, from India, Vietnam, you need also to deliver an APS certificate. So this is something that takes time, and we always suggest to plan ahead. The idea is that the semester begins in the first week of October, so the idea would be to have you with us already on that date. About the semester fee, and this is important because you will also have other processes that you need to take care of, applying for a visa, getting an appointment at the embassy, finding housing and all that. So it takes time. So we always suggest to plan ahead. The semester fee, and this is an amount, or this is the data that we have for March of 2026. So it could be changing, but right now this is the fee that we have. It's 850 euros fee plus a semester contribution of 304 euros with 80 cents for a total of 1,154 euros with 80 cents. This semester contribution includes the train ticket. So this is a semester ticket that allows you to travel with regional trains, short distance trains, buses, metro, and all this around Germany. You will see more conditions and other information about it once you're with us. But it's also like good to know that you will also have the opportunity to travel around and to discover more of Germany. Um, um, if you are interested in our program, then you can contact us. We are two academic coordinators. The head of our program, the director of our program is Professor 𝘱𝘢𝘕𝘂𝘪𝘱. And you can contact me or my colleague Heike Kleine. These are our emails. If you have specific questions about applying to DIA, you must contact my other colleague, Alexandra Stark, and the email for every question regarding the application process, please address it to dia@hs-anhalt.de. So for further information, also please visit our website in the website of the Hochschule. And we also have an Instagram account. The handle is 𝘱𝘢_architecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mauricio. Dear attendees, the ECTS calculator and the email details are also in chat. If anybody wants to check that out, you can. Now let's start with the Q&A, and I'll just follow the list and ask these questions.
Oh, sorry, Nino.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to mention something. Sorry. We also have during the third semester, there's the chance of for our students to do an Erasmus exchange with other European universities. So that's also something interesting to take into account. And if you have any questions about it, please send us an email and we can give you further information on this.
Thank you. Yeah, so let me start with the first question. I think it's for Weimar. I'm trying to understand if this program is more technical or more conceptual. If I'm not very strong in coding, will I struggle a lot? This is from Jeremy.
Okay, and this question is for TDAD, I guess, for digital technologies in architecture.
I think so. I guess
design.
probably.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's encoding. I mean, you can appropriate some knowledge here. So if you are, I mean, it's not that we take people who have already all the knowledge. It's the same with the IODD. If you have never done used Grasshopper or so, I mean, we have people who are used to it in the architectural scale, doing, I don't know, spines and fancy buildings, but we are doing this as really much on a analytical, data-driven context for on the urban scale. So it's quite different. But then it's an advantage for yourself also to having used it. No? But we have also people who start from the beginning on. No? So that means we are well aware that in architectural education, usually you use more rendering programs, or you have used AutoCAD, ArchiCAD. That's really clear. The majority is on that level. And then if you don't fear to go steps further, you are well integrated also in the course.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And maybe just to explain, there are people who say, "Wow, that's interesting. Good to know. I would have never expected that planning can work like this in the future." Okay, but I'm more traditional. A second person will say, or a second, third, maybe of the student will say, "Oh, this is good. I want to do my master's thesis with it. They're a little bit further on it, and it's really useful. I have an idea how to use it." And maybe then there are some on this expert fancy level who said, okay, I want to do programming, etc. I want to develop app, and this could also be a master's thesis. So we have all three kind of people using this in this course.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. There are two questions for Mauricio. First is regarding the 12 months work experience for DIA. I graduated in May 2025 and I have been practicing since July 2025. I'll complete my 1 year experience in July 2026. However, I will be applying for program in April this year. Am I eligible for program?
I think it's not a problem because you will be starting your master's this with this time. But maybe you should better send us an email so we can check this particular case. Yeah, but overall, it means that by the time you will be completing your 1 year of experience, it's even before you're starting the master, so it shouldn't be a problem. But just in case, you can text us so we can check it out.
Mm-hmm. And the second question was because portfolio mentioned in a detail, is portfolio the most important evaluation criteria for admissions?
It's not the most important one, but it's a very important one. For us, the motivation letter is also important. Sometimes we receive letters of motivation that is clearly a copy paste of you apply to 5 different universities, and we can see that you just changed the name of the university. We want to see why you're applying to our program. Or I mean, it's a suggestion, even if you're not applying to our program, if you're applying to any other program, just make sure that you're making this letter of motivation of why you want to be there. Yeah, because it's not about just sending out a lot of applications. We know that you want to be or that you have an interest in studying a master's with us, but show it to us. Like, why did you choose DIA, or why did you choose Weimar, or why did you choose Berlin? I mean, it's always about why, and yeah, so it's also very important that these letters of application, of motivation letters, show that you really want to be there and that you thought about us, not just like, as I said, copy paste. And about the portfolio, it is very important, because what we want to see is who are you? We want to see what skills you bring, and it's not just about the quality of the drawings. We want to see how you think. We want to see if you, as I said before, if you're a good match, and if we are a good match to you, because I think it's also responsible that we see, maybe you will not benefit from our masters, yeah, because your orientation is maybe going somewhere else. That's also something that is the responsible thing to do, at least in my opinion. So we want to see who you are. We want to know what you're passionate about, because there are topics in architecture that you might be very passionate about, and we want to see this. Yeah. And if you have, I mean, I'm sure that if you have good projects, those good projects are going to show your interests, your passions, your understandings, your questions that you have for the future and what, yeah. It's not that you have to come already with a question what you want to develop for your thesis. Please don't do that. But it's about knowing what is it that you're interested in, you
Mhm.
know.
Thank you so much. Philip, the question from Rami is for IUDD. I'm an electrical engineer who wants to shift careers to architecture. Is IUDD the right bridging master's degree? Are you accepting engineers in this master?
Yeah, so we did in the past, but we have now with the colleagues discussed to focus it more on the design base. So you should have some basic knowledge of designing spaces, and I mean spaces not physically or in terms of engineering, but also, as I mentioned, urban quality plays a role. So design, quality in design plays a role. So we want more the architects interested in natural science, for example. Then I would say the natural scientists becoming architect or urban designers, no? Which is quite because we are the faculty of architecture and urbanism, I must say. So it has also to do with let's say overlaying conditions that are here at this house. No? So, but we also took some engineers in the past, no? But they should have done already things in the urban context.
Mhm. Thanks so much. Question for Mauricio. After finishing this master, can graduates register as architects in Germany? And are there paid internships connected with this program?
So I'll answer the part about the internships first. There are not. It doesn't mean that our students cannot take them. For sure, you can take them. Just bear in mind that we are a full-time masters, which means that you should, if you want to work in an architecture studio, you have to arrange the timing for that accordingly. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. So, yeah, what I was saying is, please take into account that you might not be, I mean, you cannot take a full-time job because you're also as a full-time student with us. That's the first part. But some of our students sometimes take a semester off. They still have to stay immatriculated to our university, so they still have to pay the fee, but they take it as a semester to work in some internships for a semester. This could also happen, but this we should check like each case particularly. Yeah. And about the second question was about registering as an architect. This is something interesting because the title architect in Germany has to be, let's say that it has to be, you need to be acknowledged as an architect by the Chamber of Architecture of the state where you live or where you work, and the Federal Chamber of Architecture as well. So it's a process. It doesn't mean that you cannot do it, but it's a process that takes some time. And we do a seminar with our students where we explain this to them. But yeah, for sure, we have our students, many of them want to stay in Germany and then they start the process. And the degree that we offer, this master's degree, is something that is acknowledged also. And yeah, so because we have this accreditation, so of course it allows them to work as architects in Germany. Yeah, but again, in Germany there's a lot of bureaucracy connected to this because there are some titles that are protected by chambers. So in this case, or guilds, and in this case, architecture is one of them. So you cannot, uh, when you're looking for a job, for instance, it's important that you don't introduce yourselves as architects because you still don't have the architect title in Germany. But we will explain that when you're with us.
Thank you. A question for both of you. Let's start with Philip, as you are unmuted. It was about the applying early. I know both of you mentioned that the procedure with visa and all of that, applying early is important. So let's emphasize how important is it? Does applying early means receiving feedback early, or will UniAssist transfer the documents only after the application end? And do I have lesser chances if I apply early? If I apply in early May, will that be a less chance?
Yeah, it's a very important question.
Yeah.
Because you touched really this. There are two critical points. I mean, when we receive or when you send out an application or submit it at UniAssist, you need to imagine that they will look to all the formal things, etc. So they will already work on your application, and then meanwhile we are waiting, and then we receive it from UniAssist, but we will not do singular decisions. So we will have a commission here. So we will have a commission looking to the applications, making decisions, and then even maybe you will be invited for an interview. Yeah, so that's what we're doing also as a part of the process. It's a short interview, but the first selection will be done through a commission. That means we are not deciding every week on this invitations for the interview. So it takes a while. So that it postpones the whole, let's say, application process. But it's useful to apply early because you need to consider the UniAssist look-through. I mean, so if you are in the first package, we will not make only one commission sitting together. We may have 2 or 3 appointments. So if you are in the first batch already, we will overview that, but we will not make all the final decisions from the beginning on. No? So we look through. Yeah, we work through the material when it arrives from a certain time on, but then we need wait for a second time, and then at the end we will send out the letters if you're taken. No. So.
And also there was a question: what do you mean by early? What time is considered
you can
early
apply already
application?
now. You know, that means UniAssist has time already to it's not yet the hot phase now. So if you apply already now at UniAssist, they will be able to treat your application already. No? So I mean, we know a lot of people need a visa, and usually our commission is sitting then together that you will get answers beginning July or so. Yeah.
Oh.
So you say, oh, it means it's late? Yes. Maybe.
Depends. Like
yeah,
if the start is October, then
yes.
And people
but
cannot
I can
apply.
say because we have already applications stopping in, we will this time also separate. So we will have 2 or 3 meetings. So I'm sure we will have even an earlier round.
Good. Mauricio, the same question.
The same question. So we are already open also for applications since the 15th of December. About the process, it's done. I mean, of course, UniAssist has to check all your documents and see that you have all the certificates. And as I mentioned before, for students coming from India, China, and Vietnam, you need an extra document. And then the UniAssist sends us the applications. and we try to check them as early as possible because, of course, we do know that it takes time. Yeah, yeah, but yeah. So the earlier you apply, of course, the earlier we could give you a letter of response. But it's not also like we're checking daily portfolios. It's also like there's a commission, and the commission checks them. And we try to do it as fast as we can as well. Yeah, because we know that it's complicated, and in some countries, we know that getting an appointment at the embassy for the visa is not so easy. So we try to
Not
be
at all.
as yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something for another webinar, but we know that it's a struggle for some of our students. Yeah. So we even have some well, this would be according to each of the cases, but we know that some students are not able to be with us on the first week of October. So some of them arrive until the end of October. We hope it's not the case, but let's say that it's the late arrival and we allow it until end of October. But we encourage you to try to plan like ahead and to be able to do your processes as soon as possible. So check that you have all the certificates that you would be required or that you would be asked for beforehand. Yeah.
Thank you. There is a question from Alisa. What are the preferred types of work samples expected to be included in the portfolio for the IUDD program? Building designs, renovation projects in urban settings, etc.
Yeah, so urban settings are important. So it should, at the best case, have a relation to an urban question or urban problem, so that you show maybe you have used certain methods to approach that problem in your work, and then which led maybe to a design or to scenarios. Yeah, so that's important. So don't put everything if you have so much. I don't know. I mean, but it should make sense and be directed also towards the content of the program. I think that's important. But sometimes, I mean, spatial intervention for public spaces or traffic solutions at a crossing or ecological questions, could be really helpful to be then explored from a small spot to their meaning to a larger context. So this is important for everyone who works on the design. So design scale is important, that you have something urban, but if you have other things that can be integrated in the urban context, it makes also sense to show them. And also, as said, methods and approaches, and so as said, we are using a lot of data then, and then it's interesting also, we look to natural science sometimes, also engineering. So please show that you have already opened your mind maybe also to other disciplines. That's also interesting for us.
The question from Alexander, I think, is for Dia. But you also mentioned that you need work experience. So let me still read it out. I'm registered architect in my home country. Are these master's programs suited for architects as well, or are they tailored for freshly postgraduate students?
So, I mean, for us,
as
we have also older ones, kind of mature people, and work experience could mean during an internship over the time, or a student who, on a longer time worked somewhere also. It's also posted on our website. You can include also that work experience, but don't post like 30 renderings of 30 architectural projects to work on over the years. The question is, why would you show so much? I mean, is there something special about the project you're integrating for our specific program, or is it just because you have made it? Yeah, don't load tons of it because all the visuals are quite similar. So our question would be, why are you showing us this one or that one? And we have people who have worked 2 years, 3 years, even 10 years. So we are open also to that, but it should fit to the program goals also.
It's very similar for us as well. So we also have students who have um, not just had a lot of experience, as Philip said, um, uh, uh, people who have had more than 10 years of experience, they've also come to work with us. We've even had students that have their own practice, their own studio in their home country. Yeah, so I don't think that should be a limit for you. The good thing as well, and I think it's something that is very interesting, is you will have classmates that only have 1 year of experience. That's the minimum for us. And this is after, I have to be very clear about this, is it's after graduation. Yeah. So that's very important for us. Um, so you might have colleagues, classmates that only have 1 year of experience, and then you have colleagues that have 5 years, 7 years of experience. So it's good because then you will be seeing it from all different levels, and you will benefit from it as well. Because people who, if you're just fresh out of the university, that means that you're with people who are more experienced and you can learn more. If you have more experience, you can also see the fresh approach that your younger colleagues have. So I think it's very interesting because it's about how you work together with your classmates and with your colleagues, and creating a community there. I think it shouldn't be like an obstacle if you have a lot of experience. I would recommend leave your ego at the door and be open to learning new things. I think that's the main thing.
Mhm. Let me take two more questions, and I think the rest can also be either already communicated to you directly, or can be also read on the program pages. One question is, how about an architect working as a, or maybe comment, how about an architect working as a project manager, mainly making sure the construction runs with minimal design work and mostly consulting? Barely had my own work to display in portfolio. That seems and need more conceptual. If any of you could comment on that, you are welcome. And I will read the second one as well, and you decide if you want to comment on this or not. I studied geological engineering, and is there any chance that I can study architecture since I have some background in civil engineering, drawing, and AutoCAD? Mauricio, let me the name.
Okay, then. So at our program, I'm going to start with the second one. At our program, if you have a title in engineering and not in architecture, like geological engineering, I'm very sorry, but you cannot apply for our masters because we require you to have a knowledge of architecture, So it's interesting that you have all this experience in civil engineering and AutoCAD, but we also require the skills that you would learn as an architect. So sorry, but we require that.
Mhm.
And about the architect that is working as a project manager, I'm sure that during their time as a bachelor student, they also did some projects, so that conceptual work must be there. And I think we would check each case. I mean, this is a very particular case. I would suggest make your um, make your portfolio as well as you can, and from the new projects that you're a project manager, uh, if you want to try to show us like how was your participation in there. We are of course, we're very design and planning oriented. Yeah. Um, so we would like to see that case. I think it should be checked in like I cannot give a very generic answer to that. It's a very particular case. So maybe you can send us an email, and then we can give you a better answer based on that.
Mhm. Thank you. Philip, if you
Yeah,
have
the
any
last
comment.
question about the manager, Maurizio, you answered well also in our sense. Also, the question was for architecture more, so I think it was for your course. And geological engineering, I mean, this sounds interesting, no? So it always depends, I mean, in how far did you already have your own foot in what we are doing here? I think that's an important question. So you have seen also the maps I've showed. It has to do also with more geographical context. We have worked even on projects with geologists, I must say, but we served them to do something. It means if you have a suitcase that is quite really impulsive for what we are doing here, and which is out of the normal reach that a geologist would normally be, because you have to work maybe on post-industrial revitalization, yeah, and then it's about brownfields, etc. No? It could be analysis, then it makes sense. But if you have stayed in your field and only have your field suitcase not reaching out, then it would not work.
Thank you.